Next up, we've got some updates by TBS. Last week, I think, talked a little bit about TBS and their position in the industry and what they were doing with stuff. And today, or yesterday, I think, last night, somewhere in there, they did a lounge where they have talked about, a couch where they talked about a bunch of new updates. So basically, Trappy's got a post here where he says, Agent X is gone. Thank God. Agent X has been a nightmare for a while, and we're glad to see it go, I think. TBS Agent Desktop is now available, which is an upgraded new version of the software, which they've been alpha and beta testing for a while. They're happy to release it now. Agent M is getting renamed to Agent Web and Agent Mobile. So if you have your phone or browser, you'll be able to use those. Agent M seems to have been working well for a while. And then they said they fixed a bunch of bugs and issues. Trappy even addresses, he says, I hope that this, or rather the factory reset after you upgrade to 6.19 from below 6.13, marks the end of what has been a spotty user experience. It looks like we've slowed down recently, but this isn't totally true. We just had to make some changes under the hood to keep delivering on the promise of a reliable radio link. Things will now be able to progress at a much quicker pace. As a teaser of things to come, 6.19 offers military-grade encryption and direct GPS connectivity on port 3 and 4, as well as GPIO capability.
That's exciting. Putting a GPS directly connect to the receiver. I assume it's going to communicate that info to the flight controller?
I believe
via
so,
telemetry?
Yeah. Trappy's been answering questions in the comments on this guy, too. So definitely, if you have any questions, he's always active in there, and he can help you out. So, but yeah, I believe that's the case. I believe that's the intention of it. Just kind of have it all through everything. Trappy says, once Betaflight devs implement the GPS from CRSF feature, however, I'm not sure this is a good way to save a UART on the FC, as it may not be 100% reliable link due to congestion, and GPS is critical.
So I guess I'm confused as to what the point is if it's not going to communicate the GPS coordinates to the flight controller.
Well, I know the module can track GPS over the telemetry probably, so it probably just directly injects it maybe or something like that. Oh,
it's going to send it back over telemetry.
I would guess that's
to the
case.
Controller, I guess, or maybe okay. I'm sorry that's not more reliable. I don't see why that wouldn't be able to be reliable, but apparently it isn't.
Yeah. There may just not be enough room. Maybe you say there's not enough room sometimes in the link budget. If you're like low LQ or something, maybe they cut out GPS first or something. So.
Yeah, but it's communicating it from the receiver to the flight controller. That's not over the radio link.
I was assuming it was communicating over the radio link. That was my thought. Because right now there's not even the feature isn't even in Betaflight yet. They're adding it. So my assumption was that it was communicating back to the radio, so it didn't have to get the GPS info from Betaflight. It was getting it directly from the receiver. I might be wrong about that. That was my understanding.
Yeah. He says it's not a 100% reliable link due to congestion. I can't decide if he's talking about the radio link or the wired link between the receiver and the flight controller.
Gotcha.
Because if the crossfire link between the receiver and the flight controller is fairly high speed.
I see what you mean. In the comments case, I think he is talking about congestion on the UART, like over to the flight controller. But I think I'm just talking about it in general. I'm not sure how they handle it when you get low link over the air either, because I would assume it's sending it back to the radio. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, surely Trappy knows what he's talking about. If he says it's not a good idea, it probably isn't.
Yeah.
I know that there are people out there who would like to be able to do this just because they're short on UARTs for whatever reason. Yeah. But there you go.
Yeah.
All right. And military grade encryption. Well, that certainly addresses that security bulletin that we were talking about earlier. Although what military grade encryption actually means remains to be seen.
Yeah. Also, I think it is an option, and if you enable it, I think you lose some features. Obviously, you won't get multi-bind because that's like a attack protocol, right, and stuff like that. So, but yeah, they do offer that if you needed it. So,
okay, well, good. TBS, nice to see you. Nice to see you doing something. I recently looked at a Reddit thread where somebody asked, "Should I get TBS? I'm a beginner. Should I get Crossfire or should I get Express LRS?" And the Redditors, at least, were almost entirely on the side of Express LRS. So, and saying things like Crossfire is, stagnant, hasn't updated in forever, go Express LRS.
Well, it's certainly, Crossfire updates all the time, but it depends on if you're talking about beta releases or like feature upgrades or,
yeah. You got to get those Redditors, Trappy. You definitely have to, you need the Redditors.
You just all stay off of Reddit. It's
Probably be better.